If the price of egg soars, eat less. New price of cooking oil is no joke. Hello madam, my name is Balqis. According to the country domestic trade consumer affairs minister, Malaysia is facing inflation and the government is putting in place measures to control rising food prices. For the past few weeks, the rising price of food, from vegetables to roti canai, have made headlines, prompting the government to institute measures including lowering ceiling price and export bans. To mitigate higher price, the government has taken steps to stabilize the prices on what we consider as crucial food items such as rice and meat. But why are the prices rising, and will the government measures actually work? So, first problem, according to the Center for Market Education, Chief Executive Carmelo Fertillo said that the rising price of goods are due to domestic and international supply chain issues, including ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, as well as the spike the cost of raw materials. The supply shock that started in China in February and the demand shock that followed as the global economy shut down exposed vulnerabilities in the production strategies and supply chains of firms just about everywhere. Temporary trade restriction and shortage of the pharmaceuticals, critical medical supplies, and other products highlight their weaknesses. Those developments, combined with the US-China trade war, have triggered a rise in economic nationalism. As a consequence of all this, manufacturers worldwide are going to be under greater political and competitive pressures to increase their domestic production, grow employment in their home countries, reduce and even eliminate their dependencies on sources they are perceived as risky, and rethink their use of lean manufacturing strategies that involve minimizing the amount of the inventory held in the global supply chains. Second problem is the COVID-19 pandemic was gravely wound the world economy with a serious consequences impacting all communities and individuals moving rapidly across borders along the principal arteries of the global economy. The spread of the virus have benefited from the underlying interconnectedness and fragility of globalization, catapulting a global health crisis into a global economic shock that has hit the most vulnerable the hardest. Lockdown implemented to curb the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and 2021 that caused labor shortage and the introduction of a new minimum wage were also factors. Third, in recent weeks, there have been reports that the prices of vegetables and the fish has increased 4.5% and 3.8% respectively, while restaurant owners have said that roti canai could cost 2 ringgit 20 cents owing to the higher price of wheat, dal, and cooking oil. Refer to the graph. The latest inflation data showed that the food price increases were main cause of the higher consumer price index CPI in April. Last but not least, the law of supply and demand is a theory that explains the interaction between the sellers of a resource and the buyer for that resource. The theory defines the relationship between the price of a given food or product and the willingness of people to either buy or sell it. Generally, as a price increases, people are willing to supply more and demand less, and vice versa. When the price falls, demands recovered quickly after international borders were reopened and restrictions were lifted. However, on the supply side, the impact was bigger, like shutting down plants, retrenching workers, restricting the stock for raw materials. To overcome this came after Agriculture and Food Industry Minister Dato Sri Dr. Ronald Kandi said the cabinet has agreed to cap the selling price for standard chicken at 900 ringgit 40 cents per kilogram in the peninsula on Wednesday. The retail price was capped at 8 ringgit 90 cents per kilo, which farmers say is too low. The government has announced a new selling price. The Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry in a statement said the ceiling price will be effect for 2 months. Second, the ceiling price might be removed for prices to be determined by the market. The implementation of the new ceiling price would cost the government Rm 369.5 million, raising the total of the subsidies spent for chicken and eggs since February 5 to 1.1 billion ringgit. Higher price will signal the supply side that profit opportunities are present in the market, that producers can adjust their production structures to meet the new demand conditions. So, if this success, Malaysia's economy is expected to retain its growth recovery, driven by the reopening of its economic and social activities, as well the resumption of tourism activities and the reopening of international borders. Analysts believe these adjustments actually could help limit the potentially larger adjustment that would add to the overall flood inflation. The new ceiling price will help the limit potential larger adjustment that would add to the overall food inflation, which already touched multi-year high based on the recent CPI data for April 2022. When the process will take time is completed, price tension will cool down. When the price tension is cooled down, the power of purchase will increase. For sellers, will be able to accommodate this new price without still eating into their cash flow that has resulted to some withing up. Last on the Asian, to navigate the current rise in the global inflation, analysts observe the accommodative monetary policy might be necessary to ensure the economy stays afloat. On top of letting market forces determine prices, the government could issue food voucher to those in the bottom 40 to spend on food items. This subsidy should not last longer than 3 months, by which time the market would have corrected any price tensions. This would be better than cash aid, as it would be better ensure the subsidies are actually spent on food items. So, that's all from me, madam. Thank you.